Millionaire's paradise here on the Mediterranean coast. I say normally sunny, but today, on this Sunday in June, the weather has been absolutely atrocious since dawn. Thick rain clouds sweeping over the Principality. The tops of the skyscrapers of luxury flats and hotels are out of sight in the mist. The yachts are bobbing uneasily up and down on a swell in the harbour, and it looks as though the rain is here to stay. The track, the 2-mile twisting bumpy circuit, the tightest and most glamorous in the Grand Prix calendar, is very wet and very treacherous. And the 20-car field for this round 6 of the 1984 World Championship now assembling as the huge crowd of spectators wait patiently under their umbrellas, under their Macintoshes. There is Alain Prost on pole position. It was dry in practice and he put in an absolutely perfect lap to get pole position on a circuit where it really matters. Nigel Mansell, second quickest in the Lotus. He's very pleased also to be at the front because overtaking is so difficult on this tight Monte Carlo circuit that if you can start at the front, you've got a good chance of staying there. There is René Arnoux, third quickest in the Ferrari, and currently lying equal third in the World Championship. Alongside him, his own teammate, Michele Alboreto, who's won the only Grand Prix he's finished in the points this year. That was in Belgium. He's had a lot of bad luck the rest of the time. He was quickest on the first day. Derek Warwick, equal third in the World Championship with the Renault, fifth quickest in practice, looking up through the umbrellas at this lowering sky, and he's got his own teammate alongside, Patrick Tambay, in the other Renault. So 2 Ferraris on the second row, 2 Renaults on the third row. Tambay worried about visibility. He's asking for something to clean his visor with, and we've got a delayed start for an extraordinary reason. In the tunnel, the track is dry. It's so wet everywhere else that the drivers say that the change of surface from wet to dry and then from dry back to wet on the fastest part of the track, they're doing 165 miles an hour when they come out of that tunnel, is too serious. So they've got a fire tender in the tunnel. It's soaking the road, and while that goes on, the start has been delayed. But now, 15 minutes late, we've got the order to start engines. The track is being cleared, and we're wondering just how long this race is going to last, because the rules say that 2 hours is the maximum length. It's meant to be 77 laps, but if this weather keeps on, they're not going to be able to average a sufficiently high speed to be able to get through the 77 laps before the 2 hours is up. So nobody quite knows how long this race is going to last. And indeed, on this treacherous circuit, on this most punishing of circuits, I think the chances of the majority of these 20 cars making it through to the finish must be very slim indeed. Up the hill from Saint-Devote, you can see the conditions, you can see how much water there is on the track, and note that visibility is going to be a tremendous problem here too. Nigel Mansell following pole position man Alain Prost round as they go through the very tight bottom gear downhill left-hander by the Lowe's Hotel on to the waterfront as the rest of the field follow. 20 cars only starting because they only allow 20 starters on this tight track instead of the usual 26, so 7 cars unlucky in qualifying. Among them Martin Brundle, who had a very serious accident in his Tyrrell trying to better his 22nd place. There's his teammate Stefan Belloff in the only Tyrrell that did get into the race. And he is 20th. He's the only non-turbocharged car in the race, in fact. So the final warm-up lap completed. 20 drivers already pretty wet. Nigel Mansell looking for a slightly drier piece of the road as he lines up his car for this start, because the start is going to be so important with the tight chicane at Saint-Devote just a few yards ahead of them. All these 20 cars will have to funnel into that tight first corner. The red light is on, wait for the green, and the race is on. 14,000 horsepower, 40 spinning wheels. Prost has got away in front. Prost leads Mansell into Saint-Devote. Warwick is coming up alongside René Arnoux. Tambay is there too. The rest of the field funneling through, and we've got a problem. We've got a collision. The 2 Renaults have stopped. That's Derek Warwick getting out of Renault number 16. Patrick Tambay is hard up against his back wheels. Elio De Angelis and Riccardo Patrese drive round the accident and go away. That's Derek Warwick limping away from the car. Patrick Tambay is still in his car. They're trying to get they're getting Patrick Tambay out. Meanwhile, Alain Prost leads as they come out of the Mirabeau, down through the Lowe's hairpin, Alain Prost's McLaren, Nigel Mansell's Lotus, then it's René Arnoux Ferrari, Michele Alboretto's Ferrari, the McLaren of Niki Lauda, Keke Rosberg is there, then it's Winkelhock and Jacques Lafitte. Somebody's lost a nose cone up the hill in a minor collision coming out of the Mirabeau. That, I think, was François Hainaut in the Ligier, but the rest of the field funneling through. Already Stefan Belloff's moving up, but now let's see this accident again. And there you see the red Ferrari and the yellow Renault absolutely side by side, and Derek Warwick is pushed to one side by René Arnoux. He has absolutely nowhere to go. He's hard into the barriers, and then cruel luck for the Renault team. His own teammate Patrick Tambay goes in there with him, and Tambay now out of the car, and I think he has a leg injury also. They're carrying him to a stretcher, in fact. Patrick Tambay on the stretcher. Meanwhile, a disconsolate Derek Warwick, there he is with his crash helmet off, looking pretty astonished and wondering what on earth happened. But that was two cars trying to use the same piece of road at once. René Arnoux got away scot-free, and there he is in third place, number 28, Arnoux, his own teammate 27, Alboretto, in fourth place. But Alain Prost storming away up the hill on the second lap, over the brow and into the Casino Square, plumes of spray from his wheels. It's Nigel Mansell drinking his spray in second place. Prost making a little bit of a break over the brow, out of Casino Square, down past the tip-top bar. Now gently on the brakes for the tight Mirabeau hairpin, tiptoeing through these puddles, out of Mirabeau, down to Lowe's once again for lap 2. And Nigel Mansell seems to be closing a little bit on the McLaren. Nigel Mansell isn't going to let Alain Prost get away. So Prost leads, Mansell second, then the two Ferraris, and Niki Lauda, whoops, a little slither there from the leader. Niki Lauda, the teammate of the leader, is also moving up. So these mighty McLarens are already setting their stamp on the race. There's the tunnel. It's been wetted in there, but it's still pretty dry. Out on the fast part of the circuit, down to the chicane. Alain Prost through this treacherous chicane, using every inch of the road, missing the barrier by inches, and into Tabac now, these ceaseless corners round the swimming pool, and that is Johnny Cecotto in the Toleman. Johnny Cecotto has come to grief, and his car being pushed away. There is poor Patrick Tambay, who looks as though he's in considerable discomfort with that leg injury. A worried gesture there from Derek Warwick to his teammate, but a thumbs up from Patrick Tambay on the stretcher. So Tambay, obviously with considerable discomfort from his leg on the stretcher, but it could have been much worse. Lap 3, over the brow into the Casino Square once again. Let's have a look at this gap between Prost and the Lotus of Mansell. Prost can't afford to go any quicker than he has to, even at this stage, because he's still learning about the surface. Down into Mirabeau once more. And it's between Mirabeau and Lowe's that Lotus seems to catch up. On the brakes, bottom gear, gently, you've got 700 horsepower going through your back wheels, and it all comes in a bit suddenly with a turbocharged engine. You don't want to be clumsy with the throttle, or you can be in the barriers before you know what's happened. And of course at Monte Carlo, unlike almost any track elsewhere in the world, a slight mistake, which might just cost you half a second on any other track that has wide verges and runoff areas, can spell disaster here. 2.3 seconds, the gap between Prost and Mansell at the end of lap 2. Still the Ferraris in third and fourth places, still Prost skating along those barriers coming out of the chicane. Prost past all the yachts, into the swimming pool complex. You can see the swimming pool on the bottom left of the picture, and still Nigel Mansell dogging his every move. The Ferraris are being left behind, and there in fact is Niki Lauda closing on Alboretto. So Niki Lauda in fifth place and closing. Past the swimming pool goes Alboretto. Look how Niki Lauda makes up yards under braking as they come away from the swimming pool, now down towards the Rascasse. A left-hander leading into a very tight right-hand hairpin. Alboretto and Lauda out of Rascasse as the leader goes over the start-finish line to start lap 4. There is Nigel Mansell, still close in second place. Then this long gap before we get René Arnoux. There is Arnoux. And there is Alboretto, who is really being threatened by the McLaren of Niki Lauda. I think in a few laps' time, we could have an absolutely riveting battle. There's the gap, 18.1 seconds. But as I told you, we think that gap is coming down by 4 seconds a lap. So in 5 laps' time, as we watch Keke Rosberg through the Casino Square, there is Elio De Angelis, who's also pressing on in 6th place. But in about 5 laps' time, we could see a battle for the lead, and a few laps after that, we could see a 3-car battle for the lead. Alain Prost through Rascasse once again, and the rain is redoubled. It's really starting to rain harder than ever. On our commentary point down by Rascasse, it's almost impossible to see across the harbour, and the rain bucketing down now. Look at the water pouring off the wheels of the leading McLaren. To Portiere for Alain Prost, looking for grip all the time through these puddles. Still the yellow flag because 2 cars parked there, and you see the gap now down to 15.3 seconds. So it's coming down between 3 and 4 seconds a lap. There's the Ferrari of Alboreto catching Prost, although he's a lap behind. Prost through the chicane, still very close to the barrier as he comes out. And look at this weather. It's raining very, very hard down here on the waterfront. And the visibility must be pretty bad for Alain Prost, even though he's got nobody in front of him. But if you're following a car, you really can't see anything at all. Prost down into Rascasse. A slow, cautious gear change as he feeds the gear lever through down into bottom gear, gently on the power. And the rain bouncing off the road once more. It's raining very, very hard indeed. Prost comes across the start-finish line, glances at his pit, through the relentless rain. Oh, and he's waving as he goes over the start-finish line. Alain Prost waved at the officials who were standing at the start-finish line. Alain Prost clearly waving at the officials, saying, "You've got to stop this race." Obviously, Alain Prost believes that conditions are becoming simply impossible. And as he goes up the hill, plumes of spray. The Ferrari of Alboreto has closed right up to him. Alain Prost now very gently through the rivers of water that are running across the Casino Square. Down the hill he goes. Alain Prost down into the Mirabeau, and he clearly is angry about the race still taking place. He obviously thinks that it ought to be stopped. Now, Ayrton Senna will not agree with him, because Ayrton Senna is still charging through this weather and making up road visibly every single lap, as indeed is third man Stefan Bellof, who's probably going faster than either of them. Alboreto in 7th place. Into the tunnel, Prost is able to put a little bit of spurt on as he gets out of the weather briefly, but out of the tunnel once more. On the long run down to the chicane, the McLaren slows once more. Coming up now to complete 31 laps for Prost, 30 for Alboreto. This race just 1 hour old, so average speed must be barely 60 miles an hour, and they're obviously going a lot slower. And Alboreto is right there with the leader as they go through Saint-Devote on up the hill, and Ayrton Senna is closing. There's the blue flag there being given for the leader to tell him that he's got Alboreto just behind him. He'll know all about that, but I don't think he's necessarily going to wave Alboreto by. He just wants to concentrate on getting this McLaren round the circuit. Oh, very slow into the Casino Square, and Prost has decided that he must drive to stay on the road and not necessarily defend this lead. Into the Mirabeau goes Prost, and Senna is already out of Casino Square and coming down to Mirabeau. There is Senna out of Mirabeau as out of the Lowe's hairpin goes the McLaren, into the Lowe's hairpin goes the white Toleman, and Alain Prost's lead looking really threatened now. What is Prost going to do? Is he going to just keep this pace up, or is he going to defend the lead from Ayrton Senna? Into the tunnel, once again a brief spurt for the McLaren, pulls away from the Ferrari. There is the Toleman, there. So Ayrton Senna closing all the time in the chicane. Once more, almost brushing that barrier, goes McLaren number 7. The Ferrari of Alboreto is between the two of them, so that's going to give Senna a bit of a problem, because he's got to pass and lap Alboreto before he can take up the cudgels and battle with the leading McLaren. And I think Prost, in fact, has briefly pulled out, but no, look, Senna is right up with the Ferrari now. Senna is up with the Ferrari. This is now down on the waterfront, where the weather is absolutely at its wettest. It's murky, it's thick, it's wet, it's flooded. The marshals wave their hands, and there's a black flag. We've got a black flag here. There's a black flag at the gasworks hairpin. Senna goes past Alboreto. There's a red flag, there's a checkered flag. The race is being stopped. The black flag was to indicate that the race was going to be stopped. Prost had seen it. Senna goes on his way. He doesn't want to stop racing. Alboreto comes slowly by, and Alain Prost, I'm sure, is very, very relieved indeed. The marshals, the race officials, obviously decided that the conditions had simply become impossible. So the race has been stopped after 32 laps had been completed. They'll take the official order at the end of the previous lap. That's what the rules say. So a 31-lap Monaco Grand Prix. Alain Prost is going to be the winner. Ayrton Senna will be second. Stefan Bellof will be third. The rest of the field coming home with René Arnoux fourth. Fifth, Keke Rosberg. Sixth, Elio De Angelis. And because less than two-thirds distance have been run, that's only going to be half championship points. Ayrton Senna still on his way. There's Ayrton Senna at the Lowe's hairpin. And there is Stefan Bellof, who I'm sure also wants to keep racing. A little wave there at the marshals, who are clapping his progress. So in his first Monaco Grand Prix, Ayrton Senna is second. In his first Monaco Grand Prix, Stefan Bellof is third. And Alain Prost, the professeur, the ever-professional, ever-tidy, ever-organised driver, it's all come right for him. He started from pole position. He was going slower and slower at the end, but the race was stopped in the nick of time. I suppose one can't argue with the organisers' decision. You only have to look at the waterlogged track to realise it was a wise thing to do, but I guess that Ayrton Senna could have done with another 4 or 5 laps to get to grips with Alain Prost. So, with only half points, Alain Prost gets 4.5 for his win, and he's now 10.5 points ahead of Niki Lauda, who didn't score. René Arnoux now consolidates his third place, 1.5 points ahead of Derek Warwick.